So how many of you are excited, or we're excited when school started? We're excited that school is starting. How many of the kids in the room are not excited and not looking forward to school starting? Whenever things like this happen, we have, and this is ironic, Jeremy we didn't discuss this, but his lock-in theme was New Beginnings, and then I titled my sermon New Beginnings, and I thought that was just God kind of doing the whole thing here the whole weekend. But we have things like school year starting again, or we're starting new jobs, and we always face these new beginnings or these new adventures in life. And a lot of times, these new beginnings have a lot of unknown that are part of them. And if you're like me, I'm going to ask who has a fear of the unknown? And I'm one of those people, I'm afraid of the unknown of what's going to happen. I'm a worrywart just like my dad, and will think through every single little thing I can think of to try and prepare myself for what's about to happen. One of probably the most real times this ever happened to me was actually when we moved here to Lynn. Before we moved to Lynn, I worked at a job. Before I took the job here as youth pastor, I worked a job in a factory and I called it mindless labor because I could do my job without thinking about it. So when you're doing a job that you can do without thinking about for 8 hours out of the day, it gives your mind lots of time to think about lots of other things that are about to happen or going to happen. And I knew I had accepted the job here, but I had a month and a half before we actually moved here. And for a month straight, sitting there doing mindless labor, I thought about every single little thing that could happen as a youth pastor. I worried about, what if a kid tells me this? Or what if a parent comes and says this? What if the church leadership says this to me? How am I going to respond to that? And I tried to imagine every single little thing. Now, did most of those things ever come true? No. 99% of those things that I imagined never came true. But it's this fear of the unknown that I think a lot of us can relate to. And at one point in our lives, I'm sure there's been things that have changed or things that have happened, and we're just not sure how we're going to respond to that and what's going to happen. I like to think of Joshua in the scriptures. Joshua was a man who was Moses' aide for most of his life. And then all of a sudden, Moses doesn't get to lead the promised people he doesn't get to lead the Israelites into the promised land. And all of a sudden, now it's Joshua's job. Now it's Joshua's job to lead this people who've already given Moses and Aaron and the other priests a hard time this whole time. It's never been easy for Moses. And he knows this because he's been Moses' aide. He's the person that Moses probably confided in the most. And now it's Joshua's turn. And God saw something in Joshua. That's why he handpicked Joshua. But I'm sure, and I just have a strong feeling based off the word that God gives Joshua at the beginning of Joshua chapter 1, that there was some fear there. A fear of the unknown, what's going to happen. Not only is Joshua now leading these people, but now he has to lead them in battle. He has to lead them on a spiritual level. There's much more going on here than just walking through a land. And so we come to Joshua chapter 1, verses 7 through 9. And it says, "Be strong and very courageous. Be careful to obey all the law my servant Moses gave to you. Do not turn from it to the right or to the left, that you may be successful wherever you go. Keep this book of the law always on your lips. Meditate on it day and night, so that you may be careful to do everything written in it. Then you will be prosperous and successful. Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go." And if you're facing new beginnings this year with a new school, maybe a new teacher that you're not so comfortable with, or you're not sure how it's going to be, then I think there's 3 things from this set of scripture that we can take. And maybe it's not just school. Maybe you're looking at a new job. Maybe things are changing in your life, and you're just not sure where it's going to go. This applies not just to students, but to all of us. And the first point comes right out of the first verse. In verse 7 it says, "Be strong and very courageous. Be careful to obey all the law my servant Moses gave you. Do not turn from it to the right or to the left, that you may be successful wherever you go. Obey God's laws." And this is not the only time God makes reference to if we obey his law, we'll be successful. Deuteronomy 5:33, it says, "Walk in obedience to all the Lord your God has commanded you, that you may live and prosper and prolong your days in the land that you will possess. In Proverbs 10:17 it says, whoever heeds discipline shows the way to life, but whoever ignores correction leads others astray. In James chapter 1 verse 22 it says, do not merely listen to the word and so deceive yourselves. Do what it says. And then in 1 Kings 2:3 it says, and observe what the Lord your God requires. Walk in obedience to him, and keep his decrees and commands, his laws and regulations, as written in the law of Moses. Do this so that you may prosper in all you do, and wherever you go. If you're starting something new in life, or in the future you may be starting something new, don't forget these scriptures. If you obey God's laws, the promise is, multiple times in Scripture, you will be prosperous if you obey him. I know in today's world, this idea of obeying God is becoming harder and harder and harder. As we have social pressures put upon us to do this and do that, accept this and accept that. God's word is getting muddled by pastors, by people who aren't even Christians, who are just wanting to abuse what it says. But if we stand strong in what truth is, we say, okay, this is God's law. This is his standard. I remember when I was in high school, Buck Sutton would always talk about God's standard. He'd say, God's standard is way up here, and our standards are way down here. And the only way that we'll be prosperous and successful is if we take our standards and make them God's standards. If we do anything less than that, we're not hitting the mark. And sometimes we look at God's laws, and I was one of these people when I was younger, and sometimes God's laws just don't make sense. There's just no purpose to them. And I think in Leviticus chapter 13, verses 1 through 6, it says, the Lord said to Moses and Aaron, when anyone has a swelling or a rash or a shiny spot on their skin that may be a defiling skin disease, they must be brought to Aaron the priest, or to one of his sons who is a priest. The priest is to examine the sore on the skin, and if the hair in the sore has turned white, and if the sore appears to be more than skin deep, it is a defiling skin disease. When the priest examines that person, he shall pronounce them ceremonially unclean. If the shiny spot on the skin is white, but does not appear to be more than skin deep, and the hair in it has not turned white, the priest is to isolate the affected person for 7 days. On the seventh day, the priest is to examine them. If he sees that the sore is unchanged and has not spread on the skin, he is to isolate them for another 7 days. On the seventh day, the priest is to examine them again. And if the sore has faded and has not spread on the skin, the priest shall pronounce them clean. It is only a rash. They must wash their clothes and they will be clean. So you may look at that and be like, and if you want to keep reading Leviticus chapter 13, there's a whole lot more in there about skin rashes and things on the skin and a whole bunch of stuff. But there was purpose behind it. Think about when this was written. There were no doctors. There were no medicine. There wasn't any of this. So, if you live in a camp of hundreds of thousands of people, and one person gets a very contagious disease on their skin, like leprosy or something like that, and you have no way to counteract it, what's going to happen? They're going to infect hundreds of thousands of people. So there had to be a way to remove people from the camp. It wasn't just to be God's you know what, if they're unclean, we just don't want them around. That was not God's purpose at all in this. It was to provide a way to keep everyone else safe if people got sick, or if things showed up on the skin that they didn't understand. And so there was purpose in it. There's purpose in all of God's laws. There's laws on washing yourself before you're eating. Why? Because it's a good practice. Because we touch really dirty stuff with our hands, and then we go to eat and put stuff in our mouth with them. And so, if you really want to spend time reading all God's laws, read Numbers and Leviticus. I can't say it's a great read. It's pretty long and tedious, but it's interesting. So there's purpose behind it. But if you don't know God's laws, you can't follow them. If you don't know what God says is right and what wrong, what God's standards are, you can't follow them. That brings me to point 2. We have to meditate on God's word. Keep this book of the law always on your lips. Meditate on it day and night, that you may be careful to do everything written in it. Then you'll be prosperous and successful. I want you to guys close your eyes. I don't do this all the time, but close your eyes. And just imagine you're in Africa. We've seen American Animal Planet, we've seen the Discovery Channel, we've seen the National Geographic. We can imagine Africa if you've never been there. Now imagine you see antelope, a herd of antelope off in the distance. And then right in front of you, you see a lioness. And she is now stalking the antelope. And she begins to charge the antelope, and the other lioness come, and they take one out, and they do what all lions do, and what they seek to do. They kill the antelope for nutrition. So just imagine that. So, I know that was kind of startling to some of you, I'm sorry, but it was good. It was good to watch your faces. Honestly, me and Kevin didn't know we were going to do it that way. I was like, Kevin, do it now. What I wanted you to think about was that moment as the lion is standing over its prey and it's about to eat its prey and the roar it lets out. How passionate, how intense is that moment for that lion? It may never know when it's going to eat again. This could be its last meal. So it's going to eat and kill with all ferocity that it can. The word meditate in the scriptures is that roar. It's actually an onomatopoeia, which means it's supposed to sound like that roar. The word is haggah. So I don't know if you can get that from that roar or not. But it's the idea that it's actually the lion, the noise the lion makes as it's about to eat its prey. That ferocity. We are to meditate with that same ferocity. A lot of times we look at spending time with God each and every day, and we think, oh, we got to get a little quiet spot and have our little moment and all peaceful and stuff. And that's fine. I want you guys to spend time with God the way that you connect with Him. But are you being ferocious each and every day, like a lion is trying to find its next meal? Are you willing to seek God out each moment of each day? That's what God was telling Joshua to do when He said, meditate on my law day and night. That's the intensity that God is pushing Joshua to do. And if you read the end of that verse, it says, so keep this book of law always on your lips, meditate on it, that's the Haggah, day and night, so that you may be careful to do everything written in it. Then you'll be prosperous and successful. Whatever comes across your path, whatever unknown variables coming up, if you will meditate on God's word, if you will obey His laws, there is no fear that you will fail. God promises if you do these things, He will make you successful. You may not have the outcome that you desire. God will have the outcome He desires, but it will be one that will be good for you. And then the last point is just verse 9. Have I not commanded you? This is the point. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. Don't fear. And I talk about this a lot with you guys whenever I preach, because this is part of the one that I need to hear the most for myself. Because I am afraid sometimes. I'll just be honest. And I have to realize that no matter what variables going on, no matter what happens, God's there. He's already taken care of it. Just like He promised with the Israelites that He would send wasps and hornets ahead of them into battle, and He would take care of the problems before they ever arose, it doesn't mean that they never had problems. They still had battles they had to fight. But He already decided the outcome for them. He already knew what was going to happen and knew how He was going to take care of them. So don't forget, God is with you always. So no matter what you're facing, if it be the new school year, whether it be what other unknowns are going on in your life right now, maybe you're just at the point where you're just not sure what's going to happen next. If we obey God's laws, if we make that a priority in our life, if we meditate on scriptures, if we remember that He is with us and we'll be strong and courageous in everything that we do, we will be prosperous, we'll be taken care of. We don't have to be afraid, we don't have to fear, we don't have to do what I did and sit at a machine all day worrying about what event's going to happen that never came true. We can have confidence in the next step that we're going to take, whether we can see that step or not, because we know that God's with us. I'm going to pray. While I'm praying, we're going to sing our last song. We're going to invite all the youth to come back up, and if they want to hang out with us down in the praise prayer, they can, and the worship team will come up too.